Hello, everybody. How are we doing tonight? Give me a big thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me loud and clear. If my audio's coming in, check 1 2, check 1 2. I want to see those big thumbs up. Let me see them. Let me see them. Hello from Dallas, Texas. Hello from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. Hello from Cali. Hey now. Beautiful weather out there, I'm hoping. Okay. And also, give me a big smile in the chat if you're new here, if you're new to coming into the live webinars. Okay. I always love seeing the smiley faces of the people that I have that are new here. Hey, and if you are new, if you are watching on recording, if you are old, whatever the case may be, what I will tell you is this: please make sure that you hit that like button. That helps me, Joe, Cynthia, everyone over at the Prep Agent team. It helps us out, okay? So someone take advantage of the Black Friday special, okay? And Nelly said I gave a like before you asked. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That makes a whole world of a slew of a difference, okay? Well, I'm glad you joined, no matter what time you joined, because we're here to help you out. So for everyone who has never seen this before, this is Facebook Friday. This is where I go through your questions, your concerns, your burning desires from the Facebook group, from your private tutoring sessions that you might have scheduled with me, from your general questions that you send in. I just get them from a whole slew of places, mostly from the Facebook group, okay? And what I will tell you is this, okay? If you aren't a member of our Facebook group, head on over to facebook.com, type into the search bar Prep Agent Real Estate Exam Study Group, or you can just type in Prep Agent, and you will find our Prep Agent Real Estate Exam Study Group, 47,000 of you, something like that, with a lot of great freebies, a lot of great things in there that will help you pass your exam. And this was basically the webinar that I created where I could basically field some of the questions that you have from there and also take any questions that you have in the chat. Okay. What I like to tell you with asking questions in the live chat, please make sure, what I always say is this: don't go over any math, because I keep my math in the math section, okay? Number one. Number two, super duper 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 state specific stuff I don't get into, because we're trying to keep everything nice and national, okay? And also try to please make your questions, and I've been saying this before every Facebook Friday, so listen, before all my webinars, what I do is I give everyone about a couple minutes to come in, okay? So keep this in mind. If you are watching on recording, speed up. About the 5-minute mark is where I kind of get going. That's where the speed picks up. But I like to let people come in. I like to kind of go over my housekeeping stuff, because for those of you who have heard it before, cool, awesome, fast forward. If not, this is stuff to help you out. So someone asked, what's a Facebook group? That is, if you type in Prep Agent Real Estate Exam Study, okay, basically what happens is this: that will help you get to us. You'll find it that way, okay? Second thing that I want to say is this: I was telling about the questions and how, it's a good way to ask a question. The more well thought out your sentence structure is, the more likely it's going to be that I could start to help you. If you give me a fully flushed out question, boom, that'll catch my eye. I like it. So if you are here with me live, you want to have a good chance of me getting my attention, that is a good way to get it, okay? Absolutely fantastic, wonderful way. So let's get into a couple of things, a little bit of housekeeping. We always have our mascot, Baby Yoda, for 2021. Welcomes us into the weekend. I just like having something to smile about, and that always puts a smile on my face. So, and what I'm going to tell you is this: I also always congratulate someone. I know there's a lot of you who pass the exam, and you always come in and say hello in the webinars, and I love seeing that. I always try to give a little shout out, okay? But what I want to do is this: Dago Luna, and I know he's been in the webinars before. It's official. I just passed my real estate exam, guys. Prep Agent works. Thanks, everyone here. Let's keep helping each other out. Thank you, Joe, Stu, Cynthia, for all the help. Well, congratulations. That test is a tough test. So, did it say what state you passed it in? No. But look, any of those states are tough. I mean, that's why I have a job. That's why Joe has a job, right? So, let's get cracking into the material, because like I said, I'm about 5 minutes in, so I always like to make sure that I try to start as well on time. I keep timely as much as possible. So let's take a look at the first one. And Luna, I see your question there. You actually have a great question there. I'll probably take that next. So just hang tight for just a jiff. Okay, just a jiff. Let's look at this one. Cassandra said, has anyone seen the type of question on their exam? I can't put it into exact words, but it mentions a farmer owning land and wants to auction off a part of it to pay for farm expenses or something of that nature. I've seen it 2 times now. What is the correct answer? Well, I have been asked this before. This is one of the reasons why Facebook Friday is a wonderful thing. And I will tell you what it's usually asking, and I will tell you the explanation. So I'm going to boot skaboot. Okay? I'm going to boot skaboot over here. That's when we move it over to the side. Okay? So, and here's what I'm going to do. Correct me if I'm wrong in this, because I think, and I'm going to just say the gist of it, and I want people to say, Stu, you're on the right path, or no, you're not. It usually says there's a farm owner, okay, and he has an oil company that wants to drill, okay, and then he has a cattle rancher, okay, who wants to graze cows, okay, or graze cattle, okay. And then the question is along the lines of, okay, what happens is it asks, who should the farmer sell to for the largest profit, okay? What I want to do is this. As I type that in, tell me, people who have taken the test before, is that along the lines of what the question's asking? Please type in the chat. Give me a big thumbs up if I'm on the right path. Give me a thumbs down if I need to tweak it in any manner, shape, or form. I'll give you just like 5 or 6 seconds to do that so that I know that I'm on the right path or I'm on the wrong path. But I think that's about the gist of this question that I've seen in previous Facebook Fridays. So guess what? Shameless plug. Check out some of my past Facebook Fridays because I answer some of those questions that I try to make it different, okay, every single time. So it looks like this is that I am on the right path. Okay. So let me explain this one. And let me explain what the proper answer is, okay? And I think it's that what happens is this. It's either sell or rent, and I'm going to say this here because it's either sell or rent. And what happens is this, okay? It's going to be, so here's what happens whenever they're looking at and giving you a situation where there's 2 possible scenarios like this where you could have someone who is utilizing the land, okay, such as the cattle rancher is using the surface rights, okay? The cattle rancher is using the surface rights. And then the oil company would be using the subsurface rights. Now, listen to what I'm about to tell you, okay? And I'm going to write it here so that you see it, so that you could pause this so that you can understand what I'm saying. Surface rights, okay, and mineral/subsurface rights, okay, can be leased, sold separately. That is really what the question's really looking for as far as an answer. Do you understand that these 2 things could be sold separately from one another? Okay? So what happens is this. You could actually sell or lease to both. That is the answer to. So like if you want to know what the answer is to this question, is you could say yay to both the cattle rancher and the oil company. You could sell your mineral rights separate from everything else, okay? You could sell or lease them, separately from the other things. Now, give me a thumbs up if you understand what I'm throwing out there at you, and you get this, okay? Because I think that this is a common question see on a lot of state exams. This has been asked to me numerous times, so I want to make sure that you understand the concept behind it. Because again, I don't know, okay? I don't know if this is going to be on your exam or not. So someone said, hey, is this relevant to all states? So here's what is relevant to all states, and I think that you should understand. This particular question might not be on every state exam. However, what you're applying, so what you have to understand about what my explanation is my explanation, the nuts and bolts of what I'm talking about is potentially on every exam. So here's the thing. We use the question as a springboard to help us learn about the fact that subsurface or mineral rights can be sold separately from the property itself, can be leased or sold separately. So maybe that particular question might not be on your exam, but could the concept of subsurface rights being sold or leased separately from the land be on your exam? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It's one of the reasons why the national portion of the exam has such a difficult curve, because there's such a breadth of information that could be on there. So even though I might be answering some questions that might be specific to people that have come in here, what I try to do to make this relevant to everybody, just so you know, so that you don't have to even ask me that question, because I try to do this in every single one of my webinars. Unless I'm in a math webinar, I try to make the information, the nuts and bolts of the questions that I'm answering for you, relevant to everybody, so that if I'm giving you the explanation, you could take something away from that. So understand that. That's something that I always try to do. Now, let's boot over here. We're going to take one of the questions that came in from Luna Beauty, okay, because I did make a promise that I was going to take that because I thought it was a good one. What is the difference between avulsion, okay, slash and accretion, okay? So let's take a look at this one, okay? And before I do this, okay, so subsurface, someone said subsurface rights, mineral rights supersede surface rights. They could be sold separately, okay, from everything else, unless there is a more restrictive state law, okay? So understand that, because James, you asked a question about Texas specifically, without knowing exactly if there is any contradicting laws or more restrictive laws in Texas. It's something that the subsurface rights could be sold and leased separately from the surface rights. Okay, so good question though. I like that. So what happens is this: avulsion and accretion. Avulsion is the sudden tearing away of land. Okay. And again, sudden, violent tearing away of land, okay? So what happens is this: when you have a piece of property that is going to basically be torn away or ripped away, let's say a landslide, a dam breaking, all of those events are going to be, okay, situations where they are 110% violent, sudden changes that tear away land. Accretion is the opposite of erosion, okay? It is the gradual addition of land, okay? It is the gradual addition of land. So some people like to say that accretion kind of looks like creation, okay? Accretion kind of looks like creation. So basically what happens is this: people always remember that it is the gradual increase of land, okay, over time. So it's gradual, okay? It's 100% gradual, okay? So that is the situation there. And it's usually by natural causes, yes, air, wind, water, stuff like that, okay? James wrote a question in, and I haven't answered this question in a long time. I'm going to boot. I'm going to answer this question too. And this is one of the reasons I like Facebook Friday, because Venus just said I passed my test. Congrats. Get the heck out of here, sell a home. I love it. Okay. So what happens is let's take a look at James's question, okay? And Luna asked a question about the one that she just asked. What is an example of accretion? Let's say you're on a shoreline and basically there's an addition of land onto your property, okay? That could be an example of, okay, accretion. Okay. And something that I tell you, a lot of my students, whenever you're studying for the exam, try not to tie it so tight to the what was I going to say? To an example. Because when you have more definitions that sound like this, that's like when then what happens is it's harder for you to extrapolate or have a quick, simple definition, okay, that is going to be applicable to scenario-based questions. So that's why I usually say try to have that short, sweet, simple definition. Like, do you see how a lot of times when I explain something to you, I keep it nice and short, nice and simple? Because again, remember this. I'm not the only difference between me and you. Just so you know this, the only difference between me and you is 14 years. That's it. Okay, I've just been reading these things for 14 years. I got a little tiny pigeon brain. I would, if I didn't study as much as I do, okay, and I didn't keep things short, sweet, and simple, I would be failing the test umpteen times. Okay, so that's what I'm going to tell you. I basically I was never the scholastic type in school. I was never the studying type. So keep this in mind. The shorter and the simpler, the sweeter you keep your definitions, the easier it's going to be for you. So the question that came in from, I don't want to give credit to whoever wrote this in, James, okay, I believe it was, okay, a freestanding cabinet, okay, that was custom built, okay. What is this? Is this a fixture, okay, or is this personal property? Okay, so fixture or personal property. So we have to remember, and I'm going to write the acronym, the legal test for a fixture right over here, okay, so that we have that. So hey now, what are the legal tests of a fixture? How do we know if something's a fixture? What are we going to say? Okay, what are we going to say as far as is this a fixture or not? Okay, so we have the method of attachment, okay, adaptation, relationship of the items to the parties, intentions, and any agreement between the parties. Now, there is no method of attachment. Because there's no attachment whatsoever, I consider this to be personal because it does not meet, okay? It does not meet the method of attachment. Okay, so let me give you an example, okay? Something that's near and dear to my heart, okay? Near and dear to my heart. I had a custom-built poker table. All you gentlemen out there, okay, be jealous. It is a super-duper crazy expensive poker table, okay, that was never attached to my bachelor pad. I never attached it. It was custom-built for the space that I was in, okay, but I took it with me. Why? Because it wasn't attached. Didn't need to make any kind of assumptions about that. Basically, it was like custom made furniture. Okay, so I consider this, and here's the thing: I'm giving you, just so you know what I'm giving you as far as the answers. I don't know. Okay, I don't know the exact answer. I'm telling you how I'm coming to my answer and why I'm coming to my answer, and I'm applying my logic. Okay. So keep that in mind. What I'm trying to show you is the sauce, the thought process behind the questions, because I think that's more important than even the question itself. That's why we're talking about attachment. We're talking about giving different examples. Okay. So I think that this is 1000% personal property because again, it is not attached to the property in any manner, shape, or form. So it is like making custom-made furniture. Okay. So how do we test? Linda asked, how do we test agreement in Maria to see if it's personal or real property? Great question. So let me show you how it would pass the legal test of agreement. Because an agreement basically supersedes everything else, okay? The situation is this, okay? What happens is, okay, the situation is 100% when it comes to agreement. In the case of the freestanding cabinet, it would be this. There's a freestanding custom built cabinet that the seller is agreeing to leave with the property. Okay? That the seller is agreeing to leave with the property. That would be an example of agreement. Or let me show you this. One that I did maybe not too long ago was this. There was some art in the home. Okay? Some art in the home. And what happened is this. The art in the home was in the thousands of dollars, so it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't like the most expensive stuff I've seen. Okay, it was in the $1,000 range, and what happened was the new buyer really liked it, and part of the purchase price was, hey, we want you to leave the art in the living room. Okay, there was 2 paintings, and the seller agreed. So in the contract, they basically included them as fixtures. They basically said, these stay with the home. Okay, these stay with the home. So what happens is it's really your understanding and your interpretation of, okay, of the legal test of a fixture. Okay. And someone asked me if I could go over some stuff again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it moving and grooving. John, you just said that you just joined, but I'll tell you this: you could rewind, or this is going to be available on recording. And also, too, I always have all of my Facebook Fridays on recording, so you guys could always go back, check it out. Take a look and see some of my past webinars, because there's a lot of things on there that you could definitely get benefits from. And I try to make a different webinar every single week. So I try not to do samey stuff. I sometimes hit on a lot of things that, are commonly frequently asked. That was a question. A lot of the questions that you just asked were things that I haven't answered in a long time that I wanted to answer, because I think those are common questions. Those are like ones that I get a lot. Okay. So let me take a look at this question. Okay. So the question says, which statement regarding liens is true? Okay. True. All liens relate to debts. All liens are involuntary. Okay. All encumbrances are liens. All liens are encroachments. Okay. So which one do you think it is? Hey now, I got Miss Cindy in the chat, so I just want to say hello to Miss Cindy. Thank you for coming in and seeing me. Okay, this is a treat. So she wanted to add, in Texas, minerals conveyed to the buyer unless you use an addendum for preservation of oil, gas, and other minerals, where the seller can reserve all or a portion of the minerals that they own. Okay, so if you are in the chat, hey now, you could just see, like, literally right around this time right now, Cynthia put a fantastic explanation for any state-specific Texas stuff as far as what I was referring to earlier, okay? So she shed a little more light on that. So absolutely fantastic. And keep this in mind, too. Like I said before, when I'm going over material, I'm going over national. I'm going over federal laws. I'm going over stuff that is going to be blanket statement. If you have a more restrictive state law, that would supersede, means that would take priority over what I'm saying right now. Okay? So like the federal laws for fair housing do not cover certain protected classes. Like, let's just give an example, like gender identity. Okay, some state-specific laws do cover that, though. So that's what we mean by there being a more restrictive state law. So I hope that clears it up for you as far as what we're talking about, what's happening, what's going on. So let's look at this one, okay? And again, this says, okay, which statement regarding liens is true? Okay, hey now. A lot of you said A as in apple crumbly pie. Okay. A is an apple crumbly pie is absolutely fantastic. Wonderful. The correct answer. So let's talk about this. So all liens are not involuntary because you could have voluntary liens, right? You could have voluntary liens. Are all encumbrances liens? No, not all encumbrances are liens. An encumbrance is a charge, claim, or liability against a property. So what else? Let me ask you this. I'm going to ask this out in the chat right now. What else could be an encumbrance? Other than liens, what else could be an encumbrance? What else could be an encumbrance? Everyone but Miss Cindy could answer. She knows. She's smart pants. So tell me, what else other than liens are encumbrances? And we know, here's the thing too, if any of you are watching any of Joe's webinars, right? He always says, lien money, right? Okay. So, hey now, Joan said easements. Absolutely. Easements are going to be, okay? Taxes are a type of lien, right? Those are a type of specific lien, right? So there's a type of lien. So another type of encumbrance would be easements, things like that. Yeah, love easements as far as an example of an encumbrance. So, right? So it would be this. All encumbrances are not liens because they could be easements as well. They could be any kind of claim or liability against that property. And then all liens are encroachments. Nay. What's an encroachment? What's an encroachment, everyone? So Ashley put in a fantastic thing. All liens are encumbrances. Yes. Okay. All liens are encumbrances. Okay. And not all encumbrances are liens. Absolutely. Okay. So someone said they missed the part about the freestanding cabinet. Freestanding means not attached, means that it's freestanding. Okay. So let's take a look at this one. Okay. We're saying, what was an encroachment? That's what I asked you before I said that. Okay. What was an encroachment? What is an encroachment? Okay. So an encroachment is an improvement crossing over another's property line. So you typically, listen, it's an improvement. It's not going to be something like someone said a tree. Tree, nay, not an encroachment because you could chop down. If a tree is impeding on yours, like I have ivy, I have intrusive ivy that goes from my neighbor's yard, okay, into my yard. As soon as it goes into my yard, I chop it off. Done. Okay. What happens is this. It's an improvement that crosses over a property line. An improvement that crosses over a property line. So what is an improvement? An improvement is any kind of permanent structure. Okay? Anything of permanence. So typically encroachments happen, like real world examples. Fences. 9 times out of 10 when we're talking about encroachments, it's typically a neighbor who did not know where their property line ended or began, and there's a fence post in someone else's property. Typically, that's going to be it. Someone said a pool in a neighbor's land. Oh man, that's a big one. If you're building a pool and that's going to be in there, yeah, that would definitely be it. If you have a pool and it absolutely crosses over onto the line, that would 1000% be it. So now, let me ask you this. Let me boot-skaboot over here, okay? Let me boot-skaboot over, okay? Because I want to ask you another question. Because we were talking about liens, right? So one of my big questions, that was too big a post-it note. Attack of the pink post-it note or magenta. I think that's more magenta than pink, right? Or salmon, if you want to be fancy. So, ready? What is the difference between a specific lien, okay, and a general lien? Okay. What is the difference, okay, between a specific lien and a general lien? Type that into the chat if you could for me. So are encroachments illegal? Absolutely. You can't build on someone else's land. Can't do it. Okay. So what is the difference, everybody, between the specific lien and a general lien? And could you give me examples of what they would be? Hey now, can we get examples? Oh, absolutely. So, examples, specific lien would be like property tax lien. Sure, okay. So that is 100% an example of it. So why is it specific though? It's specific because it goes on a specific piece of property. Okay? Specific liens attached to specific properties, such as real property taxes, the mortgage lien. So let's say I'm Moneybags, okay? I'm Mr. Moneybags over here, okay? And I have 7 investment properties. I have 7 investment properties. If I have 5 of them that I bought cash and then 2 that I was like, nah, ran out of monies, okay? So what happens is this, okay? If I had 5 properties that do not have mortgages on them and then 2 that do, okay, guess what? Those 2 that have mortgages, that's all on those properties. It has nothing to do with my other 5, okay? General liens go on a person generally, meaning it's going to go on everything they own. It's going to go on their personal property. So it's going to go on the Maserati. It's going to go on the 7 properties. It's going to go on everything. So judgment liens. And when I say judgment, I mean like you lost a lawsuit. Okay? You lost a lawsuit. That would be an example of a general lien. Okay? Or income tax lien, right? The IRS is coming after you for money that you owe them. Will go on everything that you own. Okay? Mechanics liens. Someone said mechanics liens. Are those specific or general? Tell me in the chat. Are mechanics liens specific or general? You guys are asking such good questions today. Okay? So, Tammy said, specific is one certain and general is more than one. Well, general just goes on everything you own. So if you only own one home, it would go on your home and all of the personal property you own. So your car, your knickknacks, okay, your tchotchkes. Okay, if Cynthia's still in the chat, if Miss Cindy is still in the chat, she loves whenever I explain that I have tchotchkes. My whole desk is filled with tchotchkes. Tchotchkes are little knickknacks or little things that you have on your desk. Like I have an octopus. I have a silver octopus pen holder. And I have a blue crab pen holder. I haven't even talked about my fountain pen collection in a long time, but I have a beautiful fountain pen collection. So here, let me give you an example. Let me talk about this a little more so it kind of sticks. It kind of cements it. Ready? If I had a general lien, like a judgment against me, okay, so I lost a lawsuit, okay, there's a judgment against me. You can come and take my 7 properties, if he liens on all of my properties, as well as you could take my fountain pen collection, which, oh man, that right there, if you knew how much some of those pens cost, whoo, you'd be clutching the pearls. So you could take all that stuff. You could take my tchotchkes, my knickknacks, and all that kind of stuff. So give me a thumbs up if you think that helped you out as far as a more detailed example of what a specific lien is and a general lien. So a mechanics lien is going to be for unpaid work that is done to a specific property. So it would be specific to the property, okay? So, now he said, Stuart, hope you had a good evening last night with your wife. Yeah, we had a fantastic time. We don't do any kind of frills things. We're not really fancy schmancy people. We stayed in a hotel room. We went to New York City to see all the Christmas hoopla, and we ordered pizza into the hotel room. That was our ideal anniversary dinner. We didn't do like an expensive dinner out. That's the kind of thing. So thank you for that. And please hit that like button if you haven't already. And also if you're watching on recording, remember, hit that like button. Also make sure that you hit that like button on all Cynthia's and all of Joe's webinars as well. That helps us out tremendously, okay? Helps us out tremendously. So, let's keep it moving and grooving, okay? Yeah, we had New York pizza. New York pizza is some of the best pizza out there. Other than Connecticut pizza, I defer. I digress. Connecticut pizza is better for anyone who wants to know. So, let's take a look at this question, okay? Situation is this, okay? Erica Garcia, okay, said, hey guys, what do you think? At a listing appointment, the seller asked the broker not to disclose the prior termite treatment and repairs since they are now corrected. The broker should A, go back to the office without pursuing the listing, okay? B, insist that the seller disclose these facts to any potential purchaser. C, agree not to disclose these issues as they no longer affect the property, okay? And D, confirm the repairs were made and the extent of these repairs before agreeing. Now I'm starting a pizza war in the chat. Chicago pizza is the best. Don't even start with that. Connecticut or New York? Sorry. Although I will say this, I do like some deep dish pizza. There's some times where I am absolutely in the mood, and Lou Malinotti's is the one that I actually have that shipped to me. So I'm not going to say that I don't really love that. But we're going to talk about this question for a little bit, okay? There's a couple things that we're going to get out of this question. And someone said, hey, Stu, can you go over loans? Check out prior financing webinars. So head on over into the webinar section. So Miss Cindy, myself, we all have webinars that are going to be on the, what was I going to say? On financing. Joe has financing webinars as well. So really go into loans in a lot of depth, or ask me a fully fleshed out question. I'd be more than happy to answer it. Okay. If you just blurt out one word, okay, I'm gonna be like, not happening. So let's look at this one. Let's talk about this. So let me highlight the answer. Okay. Yeah, the seller has to disclose all material facts. Okay. 1 million quadrillion %. Okay. 1 million quadrillion %. Now listen to what I'm going to tell you. Okay. What happens is this. When it comes to termites, anything that has been remediated, you still need to disclose it. It is still a material fact. You still need to disclose it. Okay. So basically, there was famously a situation in my home state, and I'm going to give you the abridged version of this story, like the super abridged version. Okay. And it does have relevance to this question, and it'll help you. Hopefully, maybe it'll help you understand why I'm talking about it. So what happened was there was an elevator in a residential home. Now it was a large residential home. We're talking millions with an M, okay, of dollars, okay. And there was a tragic accident with the elevator malfunctioning, and 2 children of one of the maids tragically passed away in the accident. Okay, horrible thing. Now, fast forward about 8-9 years, the homeowner had the elevator shaft decommissioned. Okay, decommissioned, and they had it removed. Now, they didn't think to tell the new buyer about that because they're like, we had the elevator shaft removed, no issues, no concerns whatsoever. New purchaser comes in, neighbors come in, a knock on the door, giving them, the fruitcake with the jujubes inside of it, all that kind of stuff. And was like, okay, hey, so surprised that you bought the home knowing the situation where, with what happened here, okay? Then what happened was the buyer said, oh, what happened? And they told them about the elevator shaft and that there was an elevator shaft in the home. So what happened was this, fast forward, new homeowner sues real estate agents and the seller for failure to disclose material fact. Material fact was that there was an elevator shaft that had a malfunction in it. Okay. Elevator shaft that had a malfunction. That is a material fact. Whether you have decommissioned it, repaired it, replaced it, done whatever, if you do not disclose that, okay, if you do not disclose that, then what happens is this: you are going to be in breach of failure to disclose. Okay, you are going to be basically, and the courts did find them guilty. They all lost that lawsuit. It was a lot of money. Okay, so that's the situation there. It's something that no matter what, even though these items might no longer affect the property, or that it might not even exist, then it still needs to be disclosed. So someone said, Dali asked, but was the elevator eliminated? Yes. Okay, it was removed. However, just because you have remediated, fixed, repaired, or done whatever to the problem. Like in this one, if I'm relating it to this one, there's termite treatments. Okay, there's termite treatment here. Do they need to be disclosed? Yes, these facts still need to be disclosed. Okay. And here's the thing, termite treatment is actually very, very easy to remediate. It's super easy to remediate. Even if you live in a part of the country that you might not have high termite activity, very, very easy to remediate. And it's something that, even though it is super easy to remediate, something that you might not think of, if you don't disclose it, okay, you could be found to be held liable for failure to disclose. Okay. So did they go after the seller or the agent? Both. Both. Actually, even the buyer's agent too. So they went after everybody, and all of them lost. All of them lost. So yeah, that's the short version of it. That's the 3-minute version of it that I could give you. But hopefully that helps you understand the situation there. So with that being said, okay, what I want to tell you is this, okay? So Dolly's asking a question right now about death in a home and if you need to disclose or not. State specific. State specific, you have to look at your state specific laws as far as that's concerned. Some states view it as a stigma, okay? Some states do not. Some states say you do have to disclose. State specific. I don't know, okay? I don't know the situation there with every state. That's impossible for me to know off the top of my head. I'd have to research and give you a list, and that just wouldn't be a fruitful endeavor right now. If you want to know what your state's rules and regulations are in regards to disclosing deaths, murders, situations there, okay, that's the situation. So, confirm. So someone asked in regards to this question. Before we get off, I'll just make sure I'm answering as many questions as possible. Okay. Confirm that the repairs were made and the extent of these repairs before agreeing. Well, you're not a professional. You're not a professional attorney. If you're a listing agent, right? So you're at a listing appointment. Okay. The seller asks the broker to not disclose it. So the broker is really not a professional to confirm that those were made. And also, this has nothing to do with if the repairs were made satisfactory or not. Okay. Made satisfactory or not. Okay. It's a question of, it is a material fact. It needs to be disclosed. Done. End of story. Okay. End of story there. Okay. And a couple of you are chiming in the chat, basically saying, hey, and I know in this state you don't have to disclose, in that state you don't have to disclose. Most states you typically don't have to disclose, okay, situations there, okay, as far as that's concerned. And with that being said, what I want to do is this. I want to thank everyone for jumping on today, okay? What I will tell you is this. 101,000,000%. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here. If you haven't already, hit that like button, please, for us. Also, a reminder, okay, I always like to tell you folks when I have some openings, when there's some opportunities for you to take some private tutoring sessions, guess what? I typically don't have short notice, okay? Short notice as far as availability, but right now it looks like if you go to private tutoring, okay, over on prepagent.com, you can schedule a session with myself or Miss Cindy, okay, and we would absolutely love to help you out, love to get you booked up. And what I'll tell you is this: I have sessions, so if you're watching me in real time or close to real time, I have availability for this weekend, okay? So I have openings. So if you're thinking, hey, look, we're booked up or something like that, I have some openings this upcoming weekend. So feel free to head on over to prepagent.com. Go on over to click on the More button in the upper right-hand corner. Click on Private Tutoring, and it would take you right to the site that you will be able to schedule with myself or Miss Cindy, and we'd be more than happy to help you out with. But let me just say this: thank you for coming on. I loved having you here, and what I want you to do is this: have a great, fantastic, wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful evening. I will see everyone real soon.